The following presentation contains crap, bullying, and humiliation. If you are squeamish, do not watch. You have been warned. Woke up one morning, just like any other day. I was really hungry and was running kinda late, so for breakfast I had beans, broccoli, and leftover chicken tacos that we had for dinner the night before. It tasted a bit strange, but I ate it all rather quickly anyway, since I was so hungry. Then for lunch I ate a large egg bacon burrito as well as some Caesar salad. After lunch I was in history class and my stomach started making loud grumbling, whining noises. I was having extremely bad cramps and was sweating really bad. I asked the teacher to go, but he said no. So anyway, I was sitting there, trying to think some happy thoughts until class was over. Then I felt a large stabbing pain in my abdomen, and before I knew it, I had crapped my pants. A pestilent stench rose around my seat as diarrhea spilled out of my anus. I felt a warm, wet diarrhea fill my underwear and began to drop down my legs into my socks. My legs felt very slippery to the point where my shorts were slipping down my legs. My underwear was so overwhelmed with the weight of diarrhea that it dropped into my chair. I stood up and took off my underwear, shorts and shoes and tried to make it to the door. As I stood up, I let out a huge, deafening fart and poop came rocketing out of my butt. Diarrhea and loose poop had literally covered a good 1/5 of the classroom floor by this point. I stood at my desk for a good 2 minutes crapping myself. The smell was so bad that another guy ran over the garbage can and threw up. Everyone began salvaging their belongings and moving to the very back of the classroom with their shirts over their noses. I let out another huge fart and more poop spilled out. Chunks of poo splattering the desk behind me and covering a girl's knapsack and binder. Chunks of bean and chicken floated around in massive puddles of brown diarrhea. I felt a massive hot flash and my shirt was soaked, so I took it off. I was bad naked by this point. I tried running over to the door and tripped on the floor as diarrhea spilled out of my butt. My entire bottom half of my body was brown from poop. I then left a muddy trail as I stumbled all the way to the door, still pooping myself. By this time the teacher had called the nurse to come get me. I tried opening the door, but I had no strength left, so I collapsed to the floor. As my body slid down the floor, a huge glumping feeling occurred in my stomach. I then let out a huge fart and more diarrhea came rocketing out of my body, covering the walls and all. Explosive diarrhea came out of my butt like fireworks all over the desks and walls. Green chunks exploded out of my butt, then yellow, then brown, then green again, and so on. Nobody could evacuate the class because the floor in front of the door was covered in diarrhea. I heard everybody laughing at me as I started crying. Even the teacher was laughing at me. The nurse came up to the door and opened it for me, helping me off the floor. As she helped me up, more diarrhea came out. It was all watery and multicolored and got all over the nurse as well. Other classes nearby heard the racket, so they opened up their doors and started making fun of me. My mum couldn't pick me up from school because of work, so I had to ride home in a cab, naked. My clothes were all dirty and there was no clothes I could change into. I'm honestly scared of going back to school on Monday. Everyone is going to make fun of me. Is there still hope for me? I'm fairly new to this school, so does this pretty much thwart any chance of making friends and getting a girlfriend? Will girls like me after this? I really need to know. I'm crying right now as I type this. Please help. Hello everyone and welcome back. You may be wondering where I've gotten this story. It's actually from the subtitles, subtitles of a PewDiePie video. However, this was just a quarter of a second, or maybe less. It was just there and then it was gone. And I paused it and I copied it, and this story I just had to read. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, because this was a really crappy story.